Hello everybody, it's Holger Mueller here, welcoming you to episode number 124, right? It's a binary power thing. Welcome Liz, right? When
Math is hard!
When is the 1248? Didn't you have a problem with people not knowing odd and even numbers flying this week?
I did.
Yeah.
Flying on Southwest. Did you find that? Like, was this the first time that you had to fly with the new assigned seat scenario? It was disconcerting. First of all, I was very confused about what was happening. And then when I realized, because I can read all the words, it said odd boarding group, even boarding group. So when my ticket said boarding group 1, I had a pretty good idea what line I needed to go in. I was among maybe half of the passengers at our gate that understood. Like, everyone else kept walking up being like, I'm in boarding group 2. Do I get behind you? I'm like, no, you would go to the line that says even numbers, right there. It was a little disappointing in the education system. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little worried.
And it's a problem because not standardized, evidently. Because in San Diego they had boarding group 1, 2 in electronic displays. So it's certainly pretty. Southern Californians are not as smart as Fernando Valley Californians. Like, assuming you flew from Burbank.
Right, I flew from Burbank, but then when we flew out of Austin, it just said boarding group, and there was nothing else on the little side. It literally just said boarding group, and I'm like,
boarding group, yeah.
Okay, right. Like, I don't think they figured out. But here's the one thing I have figured out: if you are buying an extra legroom seat, here's the upgrade: you get pistachios, and they're either salty, they're either however you're gonna say it, pistachio. You're either going to get the salty ones or you're going to get the honey roasted ones. So that's the upgrade, folks. No more pretzels for you guys. You're getting one of California's largest. Virtual background blocking them out. See, you get the. I'm
holding them up. My first Southwest.
You're getting
A-list pistachio.
If that could be a sponsor, if wonderful brands would like to sponsor CRTV, they are more than welcome to. Holger will even say it, pistachio. But I mean,
also fix the look for pistachios here. Interesting. Oh,
right. We'll see the see-through ones.
So the backside should be better.
It's green.
No, there's green. Green.
Nope, doesn't want to help you. That green doesn't help.
Well,
but you know what?
You need different coloring.
I know, as riveting as this conversation is, as amazing as this conversation is, we do have to switch to, I don't know, maybe covering a little bit of that enterprise news. Holger, what's happening in your world?
Well, this week we spent a lot of time in Austin, right? Going to the little known now officially ERP vendor, Zoho, for the analyst meeting, which is always an impressive show because they're clearly punching above their weight class. Because, I mean, I don't know how many analysts were there, but it's like a large ERP vendor,
about 110, 120, volume. It's a big event. And I think the reason why they keep getting more and more people, not just who they are able to invite, just with the depth and breadth of their tools, with just how expansive it is, you got to remember that they started turning Zoho Day into a look into enterprise. They do a separate event for their core root of small business analysts who need their own sessions. They need those sessions that are going to deep dive into what is right and what is upcoming for the small business. But we were really focused on the mid-market and up in this session. And it's still getting, 110, 120 people. So still getting a lot of folks, still getting a lot of conversation. And it is going to get more because ERP from Zoho has been introduced. It is available in India now. It has been introduced in India, but they are anticipating that it's going to be something that starts to creep into the global market starting probably around, they said summertime or that Q3 mark. So look for that simplified view that is, quite frankly, probably the number one thing we heard from their customers is that Zoho is simple. It is simplified. It gives our business the exact power that it needs, but it doesn't give us so much that it becomes cost prohibitive.
Exactly. Yeah. They also lifted the bonnet a little bit and shared with us what is coming new in their behind architecture with AppOS, bundling multiple pieces in their background, right? So standardizing their platform, which evidently is needed, and it's always a good thing to rationalize and bring together the platform. With an interesting vibe coding demo with Cursor, right? More interesting for the professional developers. And then the big news there was in general, like lots of creator customers being on stage, sharing the stage, right? One UK healthcare company building the whole nurse experience or care experience and creator. So that's always interesting to see what the power of low code, no code does, right? And they also brought the technical part there, right? Because I've been telling them all the time, you should talk about Managed Engine, to bring Managed Engine. This is the first Zoho day where Managed Engine was there. So it was good to see the technical pieces come, which have a connection, right? There's one employer of record vendor in the HR space who bought an end management company because the problem is, hey, you have 2 people in Chile, 5 people in Thailand. What could happen with the end point management? How do you update them, upgrade them, the right version, and so on? And so there's a connection between SaaS and deep down MDM, mobile device management, endpoint management, which Managed Engine does. So it was good to see them there too.
Yeah, that observability and just being able to understand your business at a very different space and pace, I think it became really important. So you have to talk about both things. I'm curious to know what you think about, because I think that a lot of this change has also come about a year after Sridhar Vembu, of course, one of the founders, probably one of the biggest names when it comes to who you associate with Zoho, setting the pace of culture, really setting the organization up and running, has stepped into a very different role as chief scientist, where he gets to really explore the future. He even said to us when I got to ask him what he's looking at for the future, he did say he's looking at quantum, Holger.
Yep.
So he's keeping his eye. He's keeping his eye out on the future. But I thought it was really interesting that we did get to lean so deeply into that structure, that architecture, really turning this from a catalog of really interesting and kind of forward customer-facing tools into a platform. And while they've always talked about the importance of their platform and the importance of privacy to their platform, they didn't really show it, and they haven't really made that, like, here's what we're calling it, here's how you build on it, and here are the tools. And I think a lot of that does have to do with Mani Vembu coming in as CEO of that business applications. That's really been, he has been a driving force behind that CX platform coming up and building the way that it has built. And I think that this is probably as much his hallmark and maybe his stamp on the future of Zoho as much as kind of Sridhar's stamp has been as he's moving into that chief scientist role. What do you think?
Yeah, interesting to see how different 2 brothers can be, right? like presenting on this. Yeah, and I think Mani is doing the back-end renovation because Zoho also turned 30. So happy birthday. 30 is a long time for software architecture. Good for them. They didn't start with SaaS. That came a little bit later in the early 2000s or so. So there needs to be a re-platforming, an elimination of technical debt, which apparently is ongoing. So that's good to see. And that could be the first pedestal of the monument that Mani is building for himself in the history of Indian SaaS and Zoho specifically. Yeah.
But mark my words, and I say this very seriously about that organization. Yes, Sridhar is impressive. He has done so many things. I think that, India is very grateful for that, as is the rest of the world. Mani is going to do great things. And yes, I think that this is, as you said, that first pillar of what Mani's legacy is going to be for this. But I'm going to say this right now, and I say it publicly. The most intimidating Vembu of the bunch is still and will always be Radha. It will always be her. She is a force to be reckoned with. She is a builder to her core. She is looking at that solid quality of what they are producing and what they are building. And I don't think it would be a proper Zoho conversation without reminding everyone.
Without talking about the sister,
right, without realizing that, because I think that, I think that she is also a large part of that culture that is going to focus on product. She is passionate about that product, and that's what she doesn't want to be out in front. She doesn't want to be out on stage. What she wants is exceptional product going out the door. And I think that also is a big part of what Zoho's talking about. Anything else going on in the world of enterprise tech that you want to talk about?
The week before I was able to go to Prague. ADP at the yearly global payroll conference, bring all the customers together. Always an amazing event from a speaker level, from a location perspective, from innovation, how they interact with people, from a networking perspective. It's always good to get a pulse on the worldwide state of payroll. So great event every year to attend. Just published my one slide if you want to look on LinkedIn you'll find it over there. So, yeah. How about you?
Well, I think it's interesting that Salesforce is like continuing its buying spree. Salesforce has just been like, they're buying all these, yes, Informatica was the big headline, right? Like, oh my gosh, they bought Informatica. And that was great. And I think you even talked about this really as being foundational to where they want to take that data core and where they want to take data cloud. If they are really going to be serious about everything that's going to happen with Agentforce, if they're going to be serious about everything that's happening across data cloud as being that kind of fuel for all of this AI to really work.
Right.
It's some of these other organizations that they are picking up that I find to be exceedingly interesting. So of course, last week, that February 18th, 19th time period, they bought Momentum, which is it's conversational insights. It's also a revenue orchestration platform that our partner in crime, the other hosting group for CRTV, Martin Schneider certainly covers that on the revenue orchestration side. But they have this really interesting conversational insights engine where they are really ingesting and they are really looking at something that you also talk a lot about, Holger, which is all of that unstructured data. When you look at, if the average enterprise collects 10 terabytes of data and that's growing at 68% year over year, and 70% of that data is unstructured, we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do with all of that. Right. And so I think that as Salesforce has started looking at how they are going to not only collectivize and actually turn all of that unstructured data into usable and AI ready data, we have to look at things like all of these conversational insights tools and models, because having that at your fingertips and that at the ready, that makes the difference between actually knowing that you need to make a decision and then actually making the decision. So I think it's some of these other players. I mean, they've looked at, Simulate, they've looked at Qualified, they've picked up, of course, Informatica, .ai, Spindle AI, Regrello, like the list keeps going on. They got 10 in the last 6 months. So they're looking at data.
Yeah, and it's all acquisitions in the past layer, right? Going all the way back to MuleSoft days and so on, and all the overall pieces with Slack, right? Because more quickly on what you said before on the revenue data, right? There's more pipeline relevant information in your email system and your chat system than in your opportunity management system. So now we can process what's happening there, who's visiting where, going where, what's the sentiment, what's no email after the key presentation, or oh, we did great, whatever. It's not yet in your opportunity management system. So the listening ability, the processing ability is an important thing. And on the flip side, it's two reasons why all SaaS vendors investing in their platforms right now. First of all, it's a good way to build capabilities which you don't have, because nobody really thought the AI thing would be happening 4 years ago, right? So you need to do something there, and to acquire its real talent is scarce. Secondly, you need to buy time for you to rethink your specific category, how that will be functioning. Not just in the past, it was in the era of cloud, or I was talking about infinite compute. Now it's in the era of AI, right? What is the hand to machine ratio for finance, HCM, manufacturing, CRM, what am I missing, purchasing, right? Which is still to be established. So the lack of best practices in this new technology world makes the life of a standard software provider pretty hard, because you want to build it one way, which works more or less for everybody. And right now, there's no one way, right? So what you do, you invest in platform, you bolster your platform, new things come up, new things, startups, and Salesforce basically is 10 years only investing in the platform, which is a showcase for that. And it works well for Salesforce.
I think that one of the, when I start to look at, if I look at all of the kind of the 10 in a bulk, Informatica is the big boy, right? That's the big one. But I mean, also Bluebirds, that was August of last year of 25. And it's looking at prioritization of your prospecting list. It's not just going to be about so to your point, all of that information, all of that intelligence is trapped in an email someplace. It's trapped somewhere. You want to just look at sentiment data to figure out who you should be who you should be selling to first. It's about making those priority decision waves. And I think it's starting to become very evident. Organizations that understand applying AI and getting all this data and, not kicking the can of legacy infrastructure or moving to cloud down the path anymore of oh, we can transform later, or, oh, we can modernize later. I'm going to keep kicking the can. You've got organizations now saying, listen, I've got to go address this now, because I can't actually move as fast as I need to make decisions. And it's the difference between speed and velocity, right? We talk here at Constellation, we're constantly talking about velocity. I think every single one of us has integrated the word velocity into our talk track. But we always forget that most
For me, it's
people,
all about acceleration. So
acceleration. But here's the problem.
Velocity can be negative, Liz. It can be
speed
negative.
Doesn't have direction. So you're talking about acceleration, about the act of moving faster.
Yes.
Most of the folks that we see out there are talking about speed. They're just talking about going faster. You're talking about the act of actually accelerating, moving, and getting that moving.
Which is the hard thing.
Which is the hard thing. I also talk about velocity, which is having a direction. Yes, that direction might be backwards, but it's a direction. Speed doesn't require a direction. It doesn't require any level of intention. So I think that both of us, when we're talking about kind of the two different ends of where people are supposed to be, I think that with Salesforce, what we're seeing is what you talk about, right? And I think if I look at Salesforce, I think Salesforce is doing what you've been talking about for years, which is talking about that enterprise acceleration. They are doing it for themselves right now. And by virtue of that, they are looking to bring those products together so organizations can follow suit. So it's an interesting buy.
Speaking for Salesforce, right? I just want to know when David Schmeier is done with the next generation of CRM, right? So
yeah, let's put David on the spot for that. We'll find out.
It's all about David Schmeier.
We will find out. Listen, there's going to be a lot heading towards you. You're going to hear from Holger and myself in just a few minutes after a couple interviews, because guess what? Something happens this week. It's the last of a 2-week thing, and we're going to tell you about it later, but we're not going to tell you about it now. We're going to tell you about it in a few minutes. So watch these upcoming interviews. Thanks for joining us for CRTV. We'll be right back.
Are we at peak Anthropic? This is Larry Dignan for Constellation Insights, and it's a question I've been wondering about a lot of late. Anthropic releases code reviews for security, cybersecurity stocks plunge. Anthropic talks about COBOL code and modernization, and IBM takes a hit, even though IBM's been trying to update COBOL forever. The list goes on and on. I'm half expecting Anthropic to say it's going to start delivering my Amazon groceries just to watch Amazon tank too. The idea that Anthropic is going to go and do everything and wipe out entire categories repeatedly is a bit foolhardy. The nuance is Anthropic is both powering SaaS vendors through their models and also a competitor. And what's jarring the markets the most right now is we're not really sure who the winners and losers are or how we should value SaaS stocks. But I've seen this movie before. Back in the day, every time Microsoft said they were entering a new category, the rivals who were focused on that category typically tanked. The reality was it didn't work out. Microsoft is not a search giant. Microsoft didn't do a damn thing in ads. You can go down the list of Microsoft acquisitions that didn't work out. Anybody remember Skype? Yammer? I could go on forever. This goes on with any vendor. And right now, Anthropic is playing above its weight. Yes, it has a big valuation, but it hasn't gone public yet. So it's not under the scrutiny that all the SaaS stocks are. So where I think this goes, I think we might be at peak Anthropic. The Anthropic buzz is probably as big as it's going to get. Kudos to Anthropic because it's stuck to its knitting. It's focused on the enterprise. It's even cribbing a lot of the SaaS playbook. And right now it appears that it has OpenAI on its back heels. That's all fun to watch. But the reality is much more nuanced. I don't know if Anthropic's going to take over the world. Claude's a nice model. Is it going to power everything on Earth? Probably not. But the point is, it's a competition and a partner to a bunch of SaaS vendors. Ditto for consultants. Anthropic's announced a bunch of consultants deals. If you follow the Claude hype, and you project out just a year or so, there shouldn't be any consultants. You should just be able to ask Claude what to do, and they'll do it for you. As we all know, with the enterprise, the reality is often a little different than the hype. So keep that in mind with Anthropic. I don't know if we're at peak or not, but the fear around SaaS stocks and the hype around Anthropic, man, the volume's turned up.
We're back, and we're here to talk a most wondrous time of year. It happens twice a year, my friends. It puts all of us analysts into a bit of fetal position, rocking, weeping gently under our desks. That's right, it's shortlist season. It happens twice. We have 2 waves within 2 waves. It's chaos. I think we might be upwards of like 100 lists at this point, Holger. I don't know where we're at anymore, but it seems like water on a gremlin. New ones are popping up all the time. Shortlists have been released last week, this week. All of the updates have come out. We've got brand new lists that we've introduced for Q1 of 2026. It's everything from autonomous IT platforms. I know Martin has a new one on revenue intelligence. I pulled Larry Dignan into his first shortlist for generative AI applications for content generation and copywriting. I forced Larry to do a short list. It's great. But we've got a ton of new ones that are coming out and lots of new updates on every type of category that you can think of. But Holger, for 2026 in Q1, what are some of the new ones that you were looking at?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're in the age of AI, so AI is what everything matters. So I have 5 new shortlists, right? Obviously, we have to talk about agentic platforms in the enterprise, who are the vendors who allow you to build those agentic applications. But all of this has to run somewhere, right? And this is why there are the AI factories. So there's a shortlist about the AI factories, which you can go to build those agentic applications. And then in the overall clouds, there's dedicated vendors who only focus on AI workloads, both from a training and from an inference perspective. That's the third shortlist. And then, of course, there's the frameworks under which you build all of this. And then, not to do all the AI, there's a big trend happening where my accent's coming from Europe with sovereign cloud, right? How do you make sure that your workloads stay on the continent, that only people with the citizenships, passports of that continent touch your data? So that's the 5 shortlists which I'm throwing in the mix in this latest release. Let me know what I'm missing on them vendor-wise.
I got to tell you, everyone's talking sovereign everything. I mean, it's like as much as we had to come out with new AI lists, I feel like at some point in Q3 or maybe Q1 of 27, we're all going to end up with like sovereign CX stacks, sovereign revenue stacks, sovereign everything. Like, and I mean, hey, it's going to be a thing. For shortlists for me, it really started to come around what was happening in these platforms. So there is going to be a communications platform as a service shortlist. So CPaaS as a service has made its way to Constellation Research. Congratulations, everyone. Also, one of the hottest things you can talk about, not only is Larry Dignan joining me on the generative AI for content generation specific to copywriting, that list had to get turned into kind of both models that are looking at that, but also enterprise applications, because there are very specific applications that are enterprise ready so that you can train them on your brand tone, on your brand voice, so that you know that the copy that's being generated anywhere across your organization is going to fit within your enterprise governance and standards guidelines. But there is also a second generative application that a lot of people are looking at and trying to figure out what is right for enterprise use, and that's content generation for image and video. The last thing you want to do is start generating images. Your sales team's out there creating images that are going into all of their sales deck, and it has your competitors' images and brand and color in the background. It can happen with these models. It is not on purpose, but we need to understand what is commercially safe and what is enterprise ready to use. So we certainly tackle that. So all of these shortlists, and there are a lot of them. Oh my goodness, these shortlists are available, and you can see them by going to our fancy new website at constellationr.com. Check out shortlists. You'll see it under research. These are literal shortlists, all the things you need to know. But the most important thing that we can tell you about them is they are super expensive. They are so wildly expensive for you to go and check out because they are $0.00. Constellation, make sure that these are available to any enterprise decision maker so you can actually start to get into what your enterprise needs in all of these categories.
Absolutely. And Liz, we were talking about velocity acceleration, right? This is enterprise acceleration at its best, right? Because it helps you to cut down the selection of those platforms down from 6, 9, sometimes 12 months down to 2-3 months, because these are the vendors we talk regularly in the cadence. We talk to their customers, to their reference, to the partners, to the ecosystem. So these are solutions which really do the job in the category they're in. So pick 2 or 3 of them and accelerate your whole implementation to go live instead of doing a long list, a medium list, a short list. and be there 6 months later. And by the way, everything has changed. The requirements have changed and so on. Like
everything's different now. Everything's different. But I think that's something that I would love to kind of double tap and dig into just a little bit while we have everyone's attention, because I think that a lot of different organizations, and you have everything from review sites that are online, you have bloggers that are out there talking about it, influencers that are coming up with their favorite lists of things they like to use. I think that the thing that always stands out to me, at least when I start to approach these shortlists, is that we as analysts here, we really focus our criteria and what we put into our criteria list of why an organization is considered for a shortlist, really based on what our Constellation Executive Network is telling us. So
Correct.
This is really about the end user, the actual enterprise buyer who's coming to us and saying, these are the things that are important to me when I'm looking at AI frameworks. So how do I start to translate that in a world where every vendor says they're doing something slightly different? I think the hardest part about what we have to do around here during shortlist season is take all the different things and all the different slight variations of what everyone is offering. So for example, when I'm looking at CPaaS, there are a lot of CPaaS players in contact center that want to let people believe that if you just take out a couple things, if you look at things that are composable and modular, no, really, I'm a CPaaS. And you're like, that's not what.
Let's do some open heart surgery. Let's see what happens.
Right, like that's not what does it. So we really have to take all of these differing views and everything that vendors believe are important about their category and translate it back into what our executive network is telling us, what our end buyers are telling us day in and day out, what they're looking for. And I think that's one of the hardest things for me to tell a vendor when the vendor comes back and is like, why wasn't I on your short list? And I'm like,
yes.
Because it's our executive network that really drives that, because they want to be disruptive and they are the ones making these hard calls, and they end up being a very large part of what makes our shortlists.
Correct. On the flip side, we're transparent. We have the criteria there, and we're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Like, can't speak for us. For myself, if I miss the vendor who fulfills those criteria, I should be on the list. Definitely should be on the list. So reach out, look at the parts. If you're on the vendor side, if you user of a certain vendor which does the list, please let us know.
Absolutely. But I'm also going to warn you, being considered for a shortlist is almost as expensive as downloading the shortlist. So if you want to sign up for a briefing to be considered for a shortlist, get your checkbook out and write a bunch of zeros, as in $0.00, because we want to hear from you. So if you do believe that you belonged on a shortlist, let us know. If you're an end buyer and you think we got it wrong, if you think you had a great experience with someone that wasn't on a list, or you had a horrible experience with someone that was on the list, hit us up as well. We want to hear those opinions, because that's what makes us make sure that the shortlists are a valuable resource and asset for all of you. So with that, Holger, it might be time to say goodbye, at least for this episode, episode 124. That brings us to the end. The end of this lovely episode. 124. Listen, it is the start of silly season. So Holger and I are going to be out on the road a lot. We are at SAP this week. We've got everything from, like, I know for it's like, I'm at Conga, I'm at Nice Cognigy, I am like, we're at Infosys. We're everywhere. You've got a travel schedule that involves like multiple continents. So we're going to be bringing you a lot more inside scoop of what's happening in the world of enterprise tech in 2 weeks. You know who that scoop's going to come from? Larry Dignan and Martin Schneider, our partners in CRTV crime. I think we commit far more crime than they do. We might be a crime to podcasting, you and I, my friend, but we'll be back. We'll be back in a couple more episodes. So we'll see at 126. Larry and Martin are going to come in with 125 and a heck of a lot more news. Until then, see you later. Okay, there's recording. We are recording. Recording started. Okay, banners. No. There we go.
You need to record.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I got it. Oh, wait, watch. Wait, hang on. Here we go. Ready?
Ready.
Formal.
Start recording.
Informal. I am recording. We
excellent.
Started recording 30 seconds ago.
You're recording. Totally.
But wait, informal. Wait, informal. See it?
Oh, did you notice the pop-up effect? Like 1, 2, bum, bum.
Right? Because it's like, bam.
Yeah.
Okay, like we don't know who we are. We don't like, oh my gosh, who are these people?
Who's who? Yeah. All right.
Finger guns, right
and
there.
I think it's the very first time we're 100% synced. Like capitalization.
Oh, wait, and then look what I also did, because we originally started like this.
Yes.
And then I moved us to this.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, look,
Hang on, let me turn on the light.
We don't need Hannah anymore. No, just like.
Oh God, yeah.
Let's see if she hears this, right?
Like 2 seconds ago, we didn't know what episode number it was.
Okay. Yeah, can we
don't need Hannah.
Hey, can we get an agent to count the episodes?
We don't need Hannah except to tell us everything we have to do and exactly how we have to do it. Yeah. So we pretty much need her.
You got the license to swap us.
Everything.
I don't know. I don't even the rights here. Not admin. I can't swap.
No. You should see it in the main on box.
My box is just loading here. So no. I wanted to just refresh. Now I'm in inbox. Oh my God. What did box do?
What are you doing?
Well, I just want to force a refresh. And I clicked on, now I'm in notes. Okay, back to files.
Back to files.
CR shortlist.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, you go.
Recent developments, Claude Code comes out, and start this over again. The reality is the nuance is a lot more. Let's try this one more time, or I'll actually just cancel this and write it out.
Stay healthy.
Okay, we're done.
This is the first time we do this in the afternoon, and my light situation changes. My glasses are fine, and they're not fine anymore.
Right. But here's the thing: we did this. The sun's going down. We managed to give Hannah the news. We gave her the intro, we gave her an extra segment, we gave her the exit, and we gave her bloopers. So really, Hannah,
I can't complain. Just because there's always room for computing, please figure out the sun's level at my house here in San Diego. So we schedule it that I know that before. Holger, don't forget 20 minutes in, you're going to have glare on your glasses.
Remember, there's a sunset.
We need geo coordinates for this and weather forecast.
We're going to have like a whole weather clock just for when you can film in your apartment. The problem is you're rarely in San Diego anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be a smart agent. We need the CRTV agent.
Oh, Jesus. Please no.
Please
no. I think that if an agent tried to train itself on CRTV episodes, it would immediately become a dumb agent. Immediately.
Yeah, it's not going to be good for our carbon footprint.
No.
Still training.
Yes, still training. Brad, like it just no.
It's gonna be humor. Does AI understand humor?
Oh God! It just oh Lord Almighty. Okay,
right.
Safe travels. I'll see you in Alpharetta, buddy.
See you in Alpharetta.